Hello, yeah, good morning everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you? Fine. So, shall we begin the session? Today's topic is the ISAPI, that is how to use Internet Service Provider, that is the Next Web Server API, and Java subnets that is used to produce the HTML output, that is used to send the requesting output, that is the most popular implementation of this approach, that is the Microsoft Internet-based application API and the Java subnets. So let's begin with the ISAPI. So whenever we use ISAPI and the NSAPI extension, so that have a fully extension that are used to manage the product, manage the quality, manage the raw material web services that the normal users can have. This is used for the filtering, this is used for the extension that web server are using that are first place in front of the normal web server processing. So these ISAPI and the NSAPI sub extensions also be used to or also get used to manage your user authentication, authorization and the event. And the compiled modules are not an insufficient or soluble solution for high volume applications. So if there is a high solution, if there is a high module that will be given us, so that will be used for the efficient, sortable solution for the high volume applications for the high volume data. But the major drawback, biggest drawback are related to the development and the maintenance. So what we develop, what we relate, that is used for the development and the maintenance. And these modules usually combine business logic with the HTML page construction that is often contains many print lines of the HTML. So whatsoever the lines, whatsoever the data that is carried out, they are used to plan out, they are used to print the lines of the HTML tags in the values, which can be confusing itself, which can be used itself, which can be demanding and difficult for a programmer to lead or the rate. And the other problem is that each time the module needs to be updated or fixed, the web application has to shut down and the modules are uploaded. So automatically it will upload the module, it will carry it out with the utmost importance, with the rate of the change in the application that should be small. And also it is likely that a significant effort would have been made by the QA test team to ensure that a delivered application was free of bugs. And for smaller part, internal internet applications, that the rate of the change might be significant. For example, the application might provide set of the financial or the admin reports, and the logic in these reports might change over the time, or the additional reports might be requested. So these are the requests that can be made by the internal application, external application, delivered application, as well as a new product, new policies that can be supported on. Now, what is the solution? So the other category of the solution is a scripted pages. So we use HTML, that is scripted page, for the business logic program that happens to introduce with the HTML. Scripted or the scripted page solution looks like an HTML page, what happens to the business processes, but they are most often used with the web server system that contains the script to be interpreted by the server. And the script also interacts with the objects on the server and ultimately produces the HTML product. So whatsoever the product, whatsoever the guide they are using we are using with the standard HTML web page that include the special tags or the tokens that are interpreted by the application server. And typically the file name extension also tells the web server which application should be used or which application should be filtered that should be used to process the page. And these popular vendor offering are the PHP, AHP, web server pages, and this also introduces the web servers or the web page that must be introduced, that must be carried out with the data, that must be carried out with the beginning of the content. So for example, web server plays an important role in the curriculum development that includes the data that to be scripted out, that should be used out on the server pages, including the external resources, systems, and the other applications also. So this figure shows the compiled module, what are the various compiled module that is given out, what are the various web server that is used, and what are the various, we can say the database that will be gathered together for data mining, our script has to be interpreted, which will be used, that is the name extension given with the ASPX and GSP or the PHP. Now when it receives a request from one of the pages, the web server first loads the main page in the specified directory or the folder in which it will be carried out with the search engine filter, and then it will process the page. It will interpret the server-side scripts in the page and also interact with the server-side resources. Now, what is the result? The result are a properly formatted HTML page that is sent to the requesting client browser. So whatsoever the request that is carried out, that will be given up with the request that will be taken out with the web server requesting the client browser. And even though Java server pages are scripted out, so they get compiled and also loaded as a sublets at the first time they are invoked. And as long as the server page does not change, this web server will continue to use the already compiled server pages or the sublets they are taking out. So this gives the JSP some performance benefit over the scripted page of things. Now this is the client. There is the ISAPI, NSAPI, Java servlet. This is the page request. Now this is again the ASPX scripted page and the HTML page. So the real world scenario that is carried out, that will be given with the web page, that will be given with the request, that is known as the page request, page client, ISAPI, Java servlets, PHP scripting language. But the main concern that is given over here is how it is used, how it is benefited with the execution of the development of the scenario. And typically when we say about the script pages that does not contain the most of the application business logic, which instead is often required, is also compiled business objects that are accessible, that are accessed by the pages. Now, scripting pages are also mostly used as a glue that connects that binds the HTML page with the business logic components. And in any of the web applications, the choice of technology that depends on the nature of the application, organization, and even the development team itself. On a server, a wealth of technologies and approaches may be used, many of them together used, and regardless of the choices, they need to be expressed in the larger model of the system. And the central theme in this book is that the architecturally significant components of web application that needs to be present in the system model. Then servers, browsers, web application, enabling technology, and the significant element that must be a part of the model. So these records, these data will be carried out with the almost technology that is carried out, how it is used, how we can architect significant element that must be a part of the model. Now what is the summary? Web systems are the hypertext document systems that are relatively new to the computing world. And the fundamental elements of a web system are the client browser, network, and the web server. Okay. Now next is the web application, that is the web system that delivers the business logic. Then HTTP, that is a primary protocol, because this is the main protocol that is used in the URL also. This is the primary protocol for communication between the clients and the server. And HTTP is also a connectionless protocol. It's not a connection oriented, it is a connectionless. Why connectionless? Because there is no need of the dedicated wire, but only the connectionless protocol. Each time a client requests a document from a web server, a new connection must be established with the server. So every time a new document will be used, a new document will be carried out. So whatever the document we are carried out, that must be delivered, that must be taken out. So it is used with, we can say it is used with the input, it is used with the output, whatsoever we are given. That is displayed over here, that is displayed over the HTTP. So it is the primary protocol for communication between the client and the servers. And it is a connectionless protocol, and identifiers of the network resources, URL and URI can also reference the web pages, images, applets and other resources on the network. So whatsoever the data, whatsoever the resources that is available, that is used on the network, that is used on the network resources. And these are the documents or web pages are the documents that are requested by the client and delivered by the web server. So these documents are delivered by the web server, they are carried out with the web server. So whatever the document we are carried out, whatever the data we are carried out, that will be carried out with the data that will be carried out with the available resources. So whatsoever the available resources we have, so these available resources are delivered on the time by the web server. And the principal formatting language for web pages is the HTML. This is the formatting language that is used with HTML. It tells the browser how to render the content on the screen, how to render or how to use the content on the screen, how it is used or how it is developed, the content on the screen. So this is also the document that is requested by the client. And the principal formatting language for web pages is the HTML. It tells the browser how to render the system, and the forms also allow the users to enter input through a web page. We have covered about the frames, we have covered about the form. So whenever we want to take the input, whenever we want to take the output, so that is carried out through a web page. And frames can also multiple web pages to be active for a user at the same time. And session management is a tracking of a particular user processes or progress with the application even across the web pages. This management will be used for the user progress that will be carried out with the application even across web pages. And these cookies can also be used to help manage client server on the client state on the server. And enabling technology a development environment that provides the infrastructure for building web applications. So whatever the applications, whatsoever the data that is carried out, that provides the infrastructure for the building web applications development environment. And some popular technologies are CGI, active server pages, ASP, JSP, Java server pages, servlets, and the web application APIs. Okay, alright, just finish. Now, next question is a question answer. This question is a question answer basically. What are the advantages of a connectionless protocol such as HTTP? What are its disadvantages? That means in simple terms, advantages and disadvantages of HTTP. First of all, advantage is that this is a protocol that follows rules regulation that we use for the URL. So whatever the URL content, whatsoever the data we are using in the URL, that makes starts with the HTTP. Disadvantage is that it is not secure. Now it is secure protocol is the HTTPS. Now, what are the main differences or discuss the main differences in the main client tier, what happens in the browser and the presentation tier, the handling of the URL request, that is the paradigms of the operation. So whatsoever the data, whatsoever the request that we are following out, so that is used for the client server, for the client tier that is exclusively used in the browser, presentation tier, handling of the URL request, resource request, paradigm of the operation. So what is the difference between these? So these differences lie in the client side architecture. What happens that exclusively in the browser, then it is used with the presentation tier, handling of the URL resource request tree, paradigms of the operations, whatsoever the data we are getting out. Now, what types of the side effects might you expect to see in our web application? So what are the various side effects that we expect in the web application that works more browser friendly back and forward button that are used. So how much mark pages are affect the application? So whatsoever the data we are using up, whatsoever the application we are using up, so how we can expect, how we can make the changes so that it can be applicable or it is applicable on the user's request. Now, activities are examine the cookie files on your machine, look for and examine cookies left by advertising the company, and compare these cookies with other cookies from other sites and the applications also that you know well. So these are the activities that you must perform with your current scenarios. Then develop a long-term plan persistent session management strategy that allows the users to engage in a user case scenario based over a number of years, period of the years, where the long break or with the long break in the continuity. So whatever the long break, whatever the data we are carrying out, that is used with the over a period of the time. That is used to perform the management strategy.